Yes, my name is Russ Harding. I'm a director of the Private Property Initiative for the Mackinac Center for Public Policy. And today we're in Sparta, Michigan. And I have the privilege to talk to Alan Taylor, who is president of Hart Industries. Good morning, Alan.
Morning, Russ. Welcome.
Thank you. Could you tell us a little bit about what you do here at Hart Industries?
Hart Enterprises manufactures specialty disposable medical devices. These are devices that are used in diagnostic and surgical procedures.
Could you give us a little history of the company, how many people you employ, and why you ended up here in Sparta, Michigan, of all places, when you could have located anywhere?
Well, the company I founded in 1976 in the Chicagoland, Illinois area. After visiting the Grand Rapids area in 1981 for the first time, I moved the business, all 5 or 6 employees, that same year in '81. The business grew to approximately 50 employees by the mid-'90s. That's when I moved here to Sparta, Michigan, and now I'm happy to say we have over 100 employees.
Well, these are the very kinds of jobs we hear our governor and legislators talk about that we need in Michigan, good paying, high-tech industry type jobs. Tell us a little bit about the evolution of dealing with the state on this site and when you first started experiencing problems that were interfering with your ability to develop and expand as a business here in Michigan.
The 9 acres is approximately only 50% occupied, and it's our intention to expand over the other 50%. Last year, in that would be '06, we began that expansion by increasing our parking lot. And when we did this, that caused a reaction or response from the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality.
Now, when you purchased this property, Alan, did you find out or do any kind of assessment to determine if there were any wetlands on the property?
Oh, absolutely. We investigated the entire industrial plot, and we did discover that one of the lots, not the one that we purchased, was indeed encumbered by a wetlands, and that the developer had done requested then the Department of Natural Resources to investigate and give an opinion of wetlands, and our property was excluded from that opinion.
Okay, so you had an actual opinion from DNR at that time, now DEQ, but DNR, that you didn't have wetlands on the property you purchased.
That's correct.
Now, if you would have had wetlands, would you even purchase this property?
Obviously not. And since this property represents a large percentage of this small industrial development, it's unlikely that the developer would have even developed this property.
In a written response, DEQ spokesperson Robert McCann said, "Despite Mr. Taylor's assertion that the DEQ is preventing him from expanding his business, the truth is that he has been repeatedly told by DEQ staff that his plan to expand his parking lot onto an adjacent wetland is something that we could support and assist him in getting the permit required by both state and federal law. Mr. Taylor, however, has simply refused to file an application to receive the needed permit, the same permit that the DEQ issues between $5,000 to $6,000 of per year to businesses, developers, and homeowners across the state to aid them in getting their projects off the ground while minimizing impacts to our environment. Had Mr. Taylor simply filed an application with the DEQ, this project could have been completed long ago."
Alan, this is the area under contention. It doesn't look like much of a wetland. It's a small area here right next to the highway. Is this what we're talking about?
It is. It's not a wetland today, but 30 days out of the year it's almost a quarter-acre mud puddle that makes it considered a wetland by our DEQ. It has little or no value ecologically and economically without us being able to develop it into a parking lot. It has no economic value.
Well, Alan, were you amazed that DEQ would even consider this a wetland, this little wet area with clay-type soils, or much less a regulated wetland? On what basis could they come to that conclusion?
Well, it's truthfully incredulous. We hired a consultant immediately to investigate the situation. And of course, he recognized that the DNR has already made a determination on it. And so this is something new for the DEQ to come in. And his opinions were that they've made this determination, or a preliminary determination, that this was a regulated area based on the fact that it's wet for 30 to 60 days out of the year, and although it's not attached to any wetlands, it's within 500 feet of a drainage ditch. Not only doesn't that make any sense to me, Russ, but I don't think it makes any sense to anyone other than the bureaucrats at the DEQ who want to increase their job security. Obviously, they don't have enough to do to keep themselves busy now.
When you went to expand your business in the parking lot, did it ever occur to you, did you feel in any way that you were harming the natural resources?
Absolutely not, Russ. First of all, this is not a natural resource. This is a man-made mud puddle sitting in the middle of this industrial park that's here to advance industry in the state of Michigan. It's nonsensical.
Did you try to contact any other state agency to seek help in resolving this issue?
Included in the meetings with the DEQ were members of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. And unfortunately, those people are helpless. Absolutely couldn't offer one stitch of hope or compromise. They just turned their backs, walked out of the room, and said, "This isn't our problem."
I understand that you're so upset at your treatment at the hands of state regulators that you threatened to move your operations to another state. Is that true? And if so, has that made any difference in the response that you've got from government?
I will fight this private property taking in the courts. But even if we are to win, our future expansion will not be in the state of Michigan if our state government does not rein in the mindless, self-serving regulatory agencies. Our state government must show a sincere interest in reforming and improving the business climate in the state of Michigan.
Alan, as a businessman in Michigan, do you have recommendations for our leaders or our elected officials on how business people and private landowners, for that matter, can be protected from the taking of their property through regulatory means?
Don't come to Michigan. Business people are not stupid. They know where they're going to be successful and where they're not going to be successful. And it's obvious that they've recognized that Michigan is not the place to be successful. And that's too bad, because Michigan has a tremendous viable workforce that cannot be exploited because of the regulations that we have and are burdened with here in the state of Michigan. Truly an unfortunate situation.
My name is Joanne Parrish, and I'm the supervisor here in the grinding department.
Oh, good. Now, how long have you worked for Hart Enterprises?
I've been here 22 years.
Oh, wow, that's a long time.
Yes, it is.
Is it a good place to work? Do you enjoy working here?
I really do. It's been a great opportunity for me to work here and support my family, raise my children, and I've moved up in the company. It's been a really good job for me.
Oh, great. Now, what would happen if Hart Industries was forced to move and leave the state?
Oh, that would be terrible. I'd have to look for another job. My kids are in college right now. That would be a serious hardship for me and my family. There aren't a lot of jobs in Michigan right now, and that would put a huge burden on me.
Well, we're here in Sparta, Michigan, and indeed it's been a pleasure to spend a few minutes with Alan Taylor, president of Hart Industries, very impressive business here, and to talk about a very important issue, the protection of private property rights in the state of Michigan in an environmental and regulatory climate that allows businesses to thrive and grow. Again, Alan, really appreciate you taking the time to visit with us on this issue today.
It's my pleasure, Russ.